that tingling in your feet at night, the burning that creeps in the moment you lie down, toes that feel half asleep wrapped in cotton. Maybe you have stopped even mentioning it because it comes and goes. And what is the point? Hear me on this. That feeling is often the very first thing high blood sugar does to your body, and it shows up in your feet first because the tiniest nerves you have are down there and they go first. By the time it turns numb, the damage has been building for years. In 15 years of practice, I have watched people wait too long and lose the one thing they feared most: their independence, the walk to the mailbox, the garden, lifting a grandchild without a second thought. It does not have to go that way. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you a 30-second test you can do on your own foot tonight with nothing but your finger, and 3 simple things that start bringing your blood sugar down fast. Some of them before your next meal is even over. One quick thing before we start, because it matters for everything that follows. If you are in your 60s or you can feel 60 coming and what you really want is to stay strong and steady and on your own 2 feet for the rest of your life, then give me a second here. I took everything I tell my own patients and put it into one simple plan. It has already helped thousands of people feel healthier and more in control after 60. The link is on your screen right now. You do not need to write anything down. Just go take a look once we are done here. Now let me explain why your feet of all places are the early warning system for your blood sugar. Because once you understand this, the test makes complete sense, and you will never ignore that tingle again. One idea ties this whole video together. Your feet are the farthest outpost in your body. The nerves that run all the way down to your toes are the longest nerves you have, and the blood vessels feeding them are some of the smallest. That distance is exactly why they are the first to suffer when your blood sugar runs high. High blood sugar damages nerves in 2 ways at once. First, sugar is sticky. When there is too much of it in your blood, it coats the tiny vessels that feed your nerves the way syrup coats a spoon, and those vessels narrow and stiffen. The nerve at the end of that vessel starts to starve quietly for oxygen. Second, the excess sugar gets inside the nerve fibers themselves and turns into compounds that are toxic to them over time. Doctors call the result peripheral neuropathy. Peripheral just means the outer edges of your body, your hands and feet, and neuropathy means nerve damage. Damaged nerves at the outer edges, and the longest, thinnest nerves take the hit first. That is why this almost never starts in your chest or your thigh. It starts in your toes, then the ball of the foot, then slowly works its way up like a sock rising on your leg. Tingling, burning, pins and needles, a numb patch. Often worse at night when there is nothing else to distract you from it. Now the part that should get your attention. This can begin before you have ever been told you are diabetic. By the time a person is diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, the blood sugar has usually been creeping up for years, and the nerve damage can already be underway in the pre-diabetes stage. The American Diabetes Association estimates that about half of people with diabetes will develop some nerve damage. For many of them, the feet were sending up a flare long before any doctor said the word. And let me give you the actual numbers so you can make sense of your own. When your doctor checks your blood sugar, the most useful number is your A1C. A1C is simply your average blood sugar over the last 3 months captured in one number, so a single good day or bad day cannot hide in it. Below 5.7 is considered normal. From 5.7 up to 6.4 is pre-diabetes, the warning zone where this nerve damage can already begin, and 6.5 or higher sits in the diabetes range. A fasting blood sugar, the one taken in the morning before you eat, tells a similar story. Under 100 is normal, 100 to 125 is pre-diabetes, and 126 or higher points to diabetes. Write your own numbers down the next time you have them. You cannot steer what you refuse to look at. You have probably been told that feeling is just age. It is not. It is information. Your body handing you an early warning while there is still time to act. And the first thing you do with the warning is check it. So let me give you the test. This is a real test we use in clinics, simplified so you can do it tonight at the kitchen table. It is called the touch test, developed by doctors at IPS Switch Hospital and published in the journal Diabetes Care. Researchers checked it against the expensive clinic equipment and found that a light touch from a finger picked up the same loss of sensation. Your own finger is the tool. Here is exactly how to do it and why each step matters. Because if you do it wrong, you will scare yourself for no reason or miss a real problem. Sit down somewhere comfortable and take off both shoes and socks. If you can, have your husband or wife or a friend help you, because the test works best when you are not looking at your own foot. Close your eyes or look away. Now have them or you very lightly rest the tip of an index finger on the tip of your big toe. A poke does not count and a hard press does not either. Lay the finger down as lightly as you can for a second or two. Then lift it off. Then the middle toe. Then the little toe. Do the same 3 toes on the other foot. The whole thing takes about 30 seconds. And what you are looking for is simple. You should feel each light touch clearly on every toe, both feet. A healthy foot notices that feather-light contact every single time. Here is what tells you something is wrong. If you cannot feel the touch on 2 or more of those spots, if a toe is simply not there as far as your skin is concerned, if one foot feels the touch and the matching toe on the other foot feels nothing, that is reduced sensation and it is worth a real conversation with your doctor, not a panic, a phone call this week. Because numbness is the dangerous stage. When you cannot feel your feet, you cannot feel a blister, a stone in your shoe, a small cut, and those small things unfelt are how serious foot problems begin. One more honest note, tingling and burning that you can still feel is actually the earlier, more reversible stage. Total numbness is further along. So if your test is a little frightening, that is not a reason to look away. It is the exact reason to keep watching, because the next 3 things are how you take the pressure off those nerves starting today. Before we get to lowering your blood sugar, there is one habit that goes hand in hand with that test, and it can genuinely save your foot. If your sensation is reduced even a little, then you have to become the eyes for a part of your body that can no longer feel for itself. That means looking at your feet every single day. Here is why this is not fussy or excessive. When a nerve goes numb, it stops reporting pain. A pebble in your shoe, a seam rubbing, a blister starting, a small nick from cutting a toenail. On a foot that can feel, all of those hurt, so you deal with them in minutes. On a numb foot, you feel none of it. And a tiny problem can grow into an open sore over days while you have no idea it is even there. That is the real danger of numbness. The problem is silent until it is serious. So once a day when your socks come off, look at the tops, the sides, and the soles. If you cannot see the bottoms, prop a hand mirror on the floor and hold your foot over it, or ask your husband or wife to look for you. You are checking for redness, a blister, a cut, a hard callus, any color that does not belong, or a spot that feels warmer than the rest. And before you put your shoes on, slide a hand inside and feel for grit or a worn seam. The whole thing takes 20 seconds, and it is how you keep a small thing small. Before I give you the fixes, I have to draw one clear line, because some foot problems are not a slow process and need a doctor now, today, not next week. If you have an open sore or an ulcer on your foot that is not healing, that is an emergency for someone with high blood sugar. If you see redness, swelling, warmth, or you have a fever, that can be an infection. And infections in a diabetic foot move fast. If your foot suddenly turns pale, cold, and painful, especially at rest, that can be a blocked artery cutting off blood flow. And that is a same-day problem. Any of those, you call your doctor or go in. Do not test it at the kitchen table, get it looked at. And one safety point for the fixes coming up. If you take insulin or a pill in the class called sulfonylureas, common ones are glipizide and gluride, then lowering your blood sugar quickly can push it too low. The signs are shakiness, sweating, a racing heart, sudden confusion. Talk to your doctor before you change anything so they can adjust your medication as your numbers come down. Everything I'm about to give you is safe for most people, but your plan is yours and your doctor's. So with that line drawn, let me give you the 3 things that start lowering your blood sugar fast. The first fix is the simplest, the most powerful, and the most ignored. Move your body right after you eat. A 10-minute walk after a meal does more for your blood sugar in that moment than almost anything else you can do without a prescription. The reason it works is beautifully simple. When you eat, especially carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises as the meal is digested. Normally, your body releases insulin to escort that sugar out of the blood and into your cells. But when you contract a muscle, when you actually use it, that muscle can pull sugar straight out of your blood and burn it for fuel. And it barely needs insulin to do it. Your working muscles open a second door for the sugar to leave, a door that does not depend on the insulin that is already struggling. so the timing is everything. The sugar peaks in the 30 to 90 minutes after you eat. If you are up and walking during that window, your legs are soaking up the sugar exactly when it is flooding in. Researchers at George Washington University showed that older adults who took 3 short walks after meals controlled their blood sugar better than people who took 1 longer walk at another time of day. The same effort just placed right after the meal when the sugar is actually flooding in. It does not have to be a real workout. You do not need shoes and a route. Walk the house, walk the yard, go to the corner and back. If walking is hard on you, even standing and doing slow heel raises at the kitchen counter, up on your toes and down uses that big calf muscle and pulls sugar down. The worst thing you can do for your blood sugar is eat a big meal and then sit down in the recliner for 2 hours, which is exactly what most of us were taught to do. Let the couch wait 10 minutes. Walk first. So before I give you the second fix, a quick favor. If this is the kind of plain useful explanation you wish your own appointment gave you, subscribe and give this video a like. It is free. It tells the channel to put this in front of more people our age who need it, and it is the only way these keep coming. Now the second fix. The second fix costs nothing, and you can do it at your very next meal. Eat the same food you are going to eat anyway, but change the order. Vegetables and protein first. The starches and the sweet things last. This sounds almost too simple to matter. It is one of the most studied tricks we have. Researchers at Weill Cornell Medicine in New York took people with type 2 diabetes and fed them the exact same meal twice. Once they ate the bread and the starch first. The other time they ate the vegetables and the protein first and saved the carbohydrate for the end. When they ate in that order, vegetables and protein first, their blood sugar spike after the meal was roughly 30 to 37% lower. Same food, same calories, only the order changed. The reason comes down to what hits your stomach first. When the vegetables go in first, their fiber forms a kind of mesh in your gut that the sugar has to filter through slowly, so it trickles into your blood instead of flooding in. When the protein goes in early, it signals your gut to release hormones that slow everything down and tell your pancreas to get ready. By the time the bread or the potato or the dessert arrives, your body has already braced for it, and the sugar comes in gently instead of as a spike. So picture your plate in an order, not a pile. Salad and greens first, then the chicken, the fish, the eggs, the beans, then last, the rice, the bread, the potato, the fruit. You can keep the carbohydrate on your plate. It just has to come in last, behind the foods that blunt it. A lifetime of eating the dinner roll first on an empty stomach is a lifetime of the sharpest possible sugar spikes. Flip the order and you flatten them. 3 meals a day for free. The third fix is the one that surprises people the most. A tablespoon of ordinary vinegar in a glass of water taken just before a meal that is heavy in starch or sugar measurably lowers the blood sugar spike from that meal. I want to be careful and honest here because the internet has turned vinegar into a miracle cure, and it is not that. But the real science is solid and modest. Researchers at Arizona State University gave people vinegar before a carbohydrate-rich meal and saw their after-meal blood sugar drop compared to the same meal without it. And the effect was strongest in the people who were insulin-resistant, which is most people with rising blood sugar. The mechanism is the acid. The acetic acid in vinegar slows down the enzymes in your gut that break starch into sugar. If the starch is broken down more slowly, the sugar enters your blood more slowly, and the spike is smaller and flatter. It also seems to help your muscles take up sugar a little better for a while afterward. So it is doing 2 quiet jobs at once, both of them in the right direction. Here is how to do it safely. 1 tablespoon, no more, of apple cider vinegar, or even plain white vinegar stirred into a tall glass of water about 15 minutes before a meal you know is carb-heavy. Always diluted, never straight, because undiluted vinegar can hurt your throat and your tooth enamel. Drink it through, then eat. If you have any stomach trouble, or you take medication for your stomach, check with your doctor first. And while we are talking about that glass of water, do not skip past the water itself. When you are even a little dehydrated, the sugar in your blood becomes more concentrated simply because there is less fluid to dilute it. Many older adults walk around mildly dehydrated all day because the sense of thirst fades as we age. Drinking water steadily through the day genuinely helps keep your blood sugar from concentrating. The vinegar is the bonus. The water is the foundation. Let me show you how these fit together with one person. I will call him Walter. and he is a composite built from many patients I have seen. But every piece of this is real. Walter was 67, a retired carpenter, proud of his hands and his feet, and never sick a day the way he told it. What brought him in was not his blood sugar. It was that he had started feeling a buzzing in his toes at night, and lately he had stubbed his foot twice on the bed frame and barely felt it. He thought it was just wear and tear from a life on ladders. I had him do the touch test, the same one I just gave you. He could feel his big toes. The little toe on his right foot, he felt nothing at all. His fasting blood sugar came back well into the diabetic range, and he had never known. The feet had been ringing the alarm for him for a year, and no one had taught him to listen. Before any medication, we started with exactly what I have given you. He took a 10-minute walk after dinner every night around the block with his wife. He flipped his plate, salad, and meat before the potato, which he grumbled about for about a week and then forgot he was doing, and he took his tablespoon of vinegar and water before the big evening meal. He worked with his own doctor the whole way, who watched his numbers and helped him adjust. Over the next several months, his blood sugar came down out of the danger zone and into a range his doctor was happy with. The buzzing in his feet did not vanish overnight. Nerves heal slowly, but it quieted and it stopped getting worse, which at his stage was the whole battle. The last time I saw him, he was back up on a small ladder, carefully cleaning his own gutters, which I told him to be careful about for entirely different reasons. The point is, he kept his feet and he kept his life because he caught it early and acted. Let me make this simple, because a plan you can picture is a plan you will actually do. Here is what to do starting tonight. 1. Do the touch test tonight. Shoes and socks off, eyes closed, light finger touch on the big, middle, and little toe of each foot. Know where you stand. If 2 or more spots are missing, book a doctor's visit this week. 2. Once a day from now on, look your feet over tops, sides, and soles with a mirror if you need one. You are catching the small things while they are still small. 3. After dinner tonight, do not sit down right away. Take a 10-minute walk or do slow heel raises at the counter. Then do it again tomorrow after every meal you can. 4. At your next meal, eat in order. Vegetables and protein first. Bread, rice, potato, and anything sweet. Last 5. Before your most carb-heavy meal, stir 1 tablespoon of vinegar into a tall glass of water and drink it 15 minutes before you eat. And keep water near you all day. 6. If you take insulin or a blood sugar pill, tell your doctor you are doing these so they can adjust your medication as your numbers fall. None of this is expensive. None of it needs a prescription. And all of it starting tonight takes the pressure off the nerves in your feet while there is still time. So here's the thread I want to leave you with. You just learned that your blood sugar spikes the most right after you eat, and that is when you can do the most about it. But there is a strange thing that confuses almost everyone who starts watching their numbers. Your blood sugar is often at its highest first thing in the morning before you have eaten a single bite. People do everything right at night and wake up to a high number and feel like a failure when in fact their own liver is doing something they were never told about. In my next video, I am going to explain exactly why your morning blood sugar is high even when you fasted all night, and the simple evening habits that bring it down. Subscribe so it comes straight to you.